Welcome to Bootstrapped Unicorns. I'm your host, Josh Pies, the chief attention getter and hippie capitalist at C47 Digital Studios. This show is an exploration of entrepreneurship because it's important to hear people's inspirational stories of where they were and where they're going and how they've gotten to where they are. But even more important is to glean all those tactical, actionable data points that we can use on our own journeys as we grow our businesses and we can say, yes, we bootstrapped to become a unicorn.
Bootstrapped Unicorns. This is episode 2 with Kay Rawlins. This is where she's going to ask me questions. I don't know what's coming, although I think I have one question that I can anticipate. But Kay, thanks for coming back. And you had some questions for me.
I do. I mean, the first one is, where did Bootstrapped Unicorns come from? Like, I wasn't familiar until I was coming on here, but I'm fascinated with the name.
Oh, okay. So I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. My first venture, and I can tell you this story another time because I know my audience has heard it, but I actually was cash positive about $1,600 a year as a 4-year-old with my own manufacturing concern. And I have been an entrepreneur since 1984. I'm 45. I will be 45 soon. So, it's been a while, you know. I've got 41 years doing this, and I've got my MBA in technology entrepreneurship. I studied how to do tech startups, and my whole life has been focused on what it means to be an entrepreneur. And the terminology, especially when I was getting my MBA, was, you know, that a lot of startups have to be bootstrapped. And you pull yourself up by the bootstraps and you work really hard and you grow your business. And then at some point, I don't know when it became kind of linguistically cliche to say it, but you know, they would start calling the cool businesses unicorns, right? Meta, prior to that, it was Facebook, is the unicorn of the tech industry. Search unicorn is clearly Google. I think the unicorn of American soccer is Orlando City. There's business unicorns who have done some really hard work to get there. And usually there's a bootstrapping story attached to that. So I wanted to do an exploration of different people's stories of bootstrapping their business with the intent, and many of them have, their intention is to create a unicorn. And so that's our show. It's Bootstrapped Unicorns.
So I actually know one. I know Sanira Madani. So she's the one who started Stacks, the payment company, and they became a unicorn because they were valued at $1 billion. Yeah, and she's still here in Orlando. She's starting another company right now. She's another one, serial entrepreneur. But obviously now has obviously learned loads of lessons along the way. So it'll be interesting to see how fast this one grows.
Oh, and that's going to be fun to watch. May I ask that you introduce me so I could have her on the show?
Yeah, I will. She's
That'll
a unicorn.
Be fun.
Yeah, she's literally, I'll send you her details. But if you look her up, unicorn is one of the words that keeps coming up. Really? And especially because she's a woman of color, and she's still, I don't know what age. She's not 40 yet, I don't think. She's not. So.
Oh, she's a kid.
Yeah, she's got two little girls.
Good for her.
Yeah, she's amazing.
I got to have her on the show.
Yeah, she does a podcast called CEO School.
Oh, very good. All right.
Yeah, where she, just to help other, especially, she's obviously a big champion for women in business.
Well, I have some friends that she needs to meet then. We'll make this purposeful off the air, but there's a whole organization called GoBundance, and GoBundance Women is designed for high power, high impact women in business. So it's your type of profile. It's her profile. It's women like you supporting each other.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I would love to look into that. So,
awesome.
So then Hippie Capitalist.
So
how does that work?
So here, true story. Around 2014, when I lived still in Rochester, real estate was hard to find for what I needed. I needed some studio space. I needed some office space. But, you know, Rochester's a depressed city. So either you're going to have AAA office space, which doesn't fit what we want, or you're going to have kind of like Class C warehouse space that has no soundproofing and probably leaks in the roof. But that middle ground was really hard to find unless you wanted like a strip mall, which is the last thing I wanted. So I'd been looking around, and I thought I had a place, and then the guy never did the build out and just wanted to charge me for something he never did. So I walked away from that pretty fast. And I called a friend of mine in frustration who I thought he only managed large multifamily apartment complexes. So I thought he might have some words of advice. I never thought he would have a building. And so he calls me back actually and says, Josh, I have commercial property and I have one that has a meeting with a whole bunch of filmmakers like you in 10 minutes. Can you get there? There was no reason for Jim to have meetings with filmmakers. None of this made sense. So I'm like, okay, Jim, I'm on my way. So I got the address, I shoot over there and I walk in and I knew all the guys. It's a small community there. I knew everybody in the room. And what are you guys doing here? Like, no, we're losing our space. You know, all of us had a weird real estate story. And the head of the commercial division, who I had only met once, I didn't know he was in charge of the commercial division because like I said, I had no clue they had commercial property. He goes, well, Josh, here's what we're going to do. There's a 9,000 square foot space here. You guys are going to divide it up. You're going to coexist. And I know at the time we only needed a combined total of about 3,000 across all of us because we figured out we could share the space. He goes, the rest of this, you're going to find your other friends and put them in here. And we're going to start something called a co-work. I had never heard of a co-work at that time. It was very new concept. And so I end up becoming one of the principal founders with the other guys in Carlson Co-work is what we end up naming it after the name of the building. And we end up having 75 small businesses living in a commune together. Wow. And the CEO, Jim, who I mentioned already, insisted that we all meet with him every Friday morning for coffee. He always brought the coffee and bagels. And he treated it like an incubator for small business. And he made us figure out how to share work with each other in a way where we learned professional networking and deal making from Jim. And he called us all his hippie capitalists. Right?
I love that.
Yeah. And so I'm the only one still using the term so far as I know. But what I loved is that I've never been in a situation where one person's winning and the other people aren't sure if they're winning or are sure that they're losing and anybody's happy.
Right.
And that person who's winning usually is losing because everybody hates that person for that reason. And so ultimately he's going to get a bad name and his name is worth more than whatever money he's going to make. And so that whole construct of win-lose, I've come to believe is lose-lose. And so the only way to do business is to try to find win-win, try to actually have genuine care for each other. And yeah, we can all grow our net worth together. We can build our businesses together. But if we're not doing it together in some kind of hippie capitalist commune, then we're actually doing something that is going to break business at some point. Might not do it today, but it will happen at some point. So I'm a hippie capitalist because we got to do it together.
I love that. That's great. And what a serendipity that you just, he just called you and you didn't even know it was going to happen. Those are always the best. I love those. It
really was fun. And they were weird dudes for me too. I knew them all, but they make monster movies. And I was doing like short films and dramas. And I was doing documentary work more than anything. They're doing these weird clay molds with like these monster mouths that are eating small claymation characters. And it's all stop motion. So like they have the patience to just like let the mouth open one little frame at a time. 5 days later, the mouth is all the way open. Like, I don't know how they did it, but it was cool, weird, but cool.
But those kind of spaces, that's where a lot of, ideas flourish because you might have an idea and you're trying to think it out and you've got 3 or 4 people around you. You can just go, hey, I got this idea. And then suddenly it becomes a thing. And yes. I think I love co-working spaces. I know we've had them quite a few here in Orlando. And it's just a wonderful thing because it's just all those minds like melding together and coming up with something amazing. So,
and the best co-working spaces live and operate the way you're describing. Some of them actually have a leader who's curating the experience. And those are the ones that I think thrive where, and not to, mock Regis for what they are. Regis is that functional place where you can land in different places around town or different cities. I get why they exist and they're actually serving a purpose, but they aren't building a community. But the really cool co-works build a community, like the Venture X's of the world that are down here in Orlando. You can't help but smile when you see all of these people live in the hippie capitalist lifestyle.
Yeah. No, I love it. That's so cool. And I would equate it not in being in the same space, but I think Major League Soccer, because it was still young. I mean, if you think about it, 1996 is when Major League started, because America wanted the World Cup in 1994. And the stipulation was, well, yes, you can have it, but you have to build a domestic league. So that's how Major League Soccer came into being.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And so because it's still a young league, what you find is we can be rivals on the pitch, and we are, but off the pitch, you can pick the phone up to anyone in any of those other clubs. And, we have conferences. And so you get together with your peers across the league and share best practice, because what you're doing here in Orlando is not affecting what they're doing in Minnesota. You're not rivals. You're not after the same audience or whatever, but you might have this incredible fun, like the magnets took off everywhere once we'd done them. But it's those kinds of things. Share best practice. And then, it's that, what is it? All boats rise, or whatever it is.
Oh yeah. Rising tide floats all boats.
Yeah. And it's that same principle of, why wouldn't you help each other?
That's right. That's right. No, it's a beautiful lesson. And it goes back to the way I perceive soccer in Orlando, that you've got a community as well, that, the community feeds the team feeds the community in a way. Yes. It's just, that kind of selflessness and that camaraderie that kind of all dovetails in. It is applicable in business if you're willing to let it apply in business.
Sure.
And it's incredibly fruitful. I live a very charmed life, and I would like to attribute a lot of it to just being willing to ask people to enjoy that charmed life with me.
Yeah, I love it. It's very cool. I love what you're doing.
I appreciate it. And so I can't thank you enough. We've done 2 episodes together now. And like I said, we're going to do even more together at some point. I have no clue what it is. I will see you at a game. I'm going to bring my kids, and that's going to be a riot. And congratulations on the start of a new season, coming off the tails of one heck of a season.
Yeah.
I love the look on your face when you think about it. You get this look that just revels in the experience. That's a good thing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, awesome. All right, unicorns, I'm going to see you on the next episode. Let me know if you think these reverse interview episodes are working for us. I know I'm enjoying them, and we're having some smiles through the process. So if nothing else, I'm happy. But if you've got questions for me, I want you to feed them to our guests, because that'll be fun to see how that all flows as well. On the next episode, as you know, I have no clue who's coming. So I will live up to my promise and make sure it has great value for you. So get back to work.